My name is Michael Fortune from folklore.ie, and I'm going to give you a little tutorial today in the use of the app Inshot. I'm here today because of the work that I would have done with Clare, the Arts Office in Clare County Council in June and July with participants there in using digital upskill and digital skills. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the app Inshot that we used. Now, the reason I'm showing you Inshot is because it's a cross-platform app, i.e. works on Android and Apple. And that's a real game changer here, because for so long, for any of us who are doing workshops and working in a kind of community setting or working in workshop settings or education, you were always having difficulties with Apples and Androids and trying to get people on one program and working on another, and trying to get people to kind of the programs to talk and to look at the differences and stuff like that. So what I really like about this app is it allows you to work on both platforms, which is really, really important. Again, one thing that I would like to stress is this is a follow-up from the earlier tutorial I showed you on using your mobile phone to record, and really is just to getting you up on that ladder, getting you up in the first and second rung of that ladder, so you can maybe down the line, maybe if you find this really, really useful, you might go on to editing videos on a laptop or a desktop. But in the meantime, this is a really powerful app, and it will really help many of you out there, and especially for what you're going to use it for. In most cases, people are using Inshot for tutorials, for tutorials, or maybe documenting little kind of documentaries that they're making, i.e. like documenting a workshop or a little promotional video like that. But very, very easy, very, very easy to use. Now, the app is very, very powerful. The only thing is that it's on. You can download it for your mobile phone or for a tablet. The tablet is a little bit bigger, so you've got more space to press buttons. The phone can be finicky at times. I won't deny that. It can be a little bit finicky, but you're going to have to stick with it, right? And the best way for you to learn to use this app is, as I keep saying to everyone, is to just shoot something and edit it yourself. Make all those mistakes. It's the only way you're going to learn how to use this app. So you can follow tutorials step by step by step, but until you get the thing in your hand and you're figuring out what you're going to use it for, everyone's practice is completely different. Some people might only literally just put a title and maybe and a title at the start and title at the end. More people might want to put in photographs, might want to put in sound effects. So it really depends on what you want to use it for. But I'm going to run through the app with you now. So basically, you go to the App Store or you go to Google Play and you download Inshot. Now, you download the free version of Inshot. There's a paid version that you can subscribe to a professional version, but the free version is great. Most people I know who are using for tutorials, who've never used editing before, are using the free version. You can pay a few pounds, maybe I think €4, to get rid of some of the ads. Now, I'm showing you the free version with the ads, so you can see the difference. So you pay a couple of euro, you get rid of those ads, right? So basically, you're working on the principle that you've just shot your film. You've shot a 15-minute tutorial, or you've shot maybe 10 little sequence of little Lego clips that I was saying to you before, little blocks of 10-second clips that you want to edit into the form of a film. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here with you now. So bear with me. And I'm going to open up the app Inshot. So here's Inshot on my phone. So I've got an iPhone 7, so this is the operating system I'm working on. Now, again, basics, things like shooting on your filming before, you do need space. So if you're going to be editing a 30-minute film, you need space to be able to save that 30-minute film, right? So you need that 3 to 4 to 5 gigabytes free on your phone, just to have that space that you're working. So basically what you do is you've shot your film and it saves in your photos folder on your phone. Now, all phones are slightly different, but mostly it's saved in your photos folder in your camera roll. So you open up Inshot, and it gives you 3 options. You go to the video. So you go to video and it says to you, what do you want to do? And here are previous ones I would have done before, the 22 second and the 45 second clips. I want to go new. So for some reason, it'll just give you the new option. And it'll ask me straight away, it'll open my videos folder, what do you want to do? So I'm going to say, right, I've got 4 videos lined up. Ducks, chicks, hairy molly, and a little newt. And I've clicked on them, and now I'm going to click the little tick button, the little on the bottom right hand corner. So I'm going to click that. And what that does is that brings these videos in on your timeline, right? So that brings your videos down here, what we call the timeline, right? Now, for those of you who haven't video edited before, basically you have a timeline. That's where your films are down here in the bottom, and you have your screen. I.e., that's your screen up here, where you can see the bigger picture, right? So literally that's your timeline, and it plays. The way video plays is if I'm just going to press play here now, this play button. It just moves along like that. So it moves from one clip to the next, and then it goes to the next, and the next, and the next, onto the next clip, right? Now, That's what any video editing program is like. You basically bring in your clips and you put them on your timeline, and on your timeline then you can order which way they go, how the clips work. Now here in Inshot, what you can do is if I get my finger and I click on the line on that video, it pops up these little 4 clips. If I click on it again, it gives me back to the other view of the timeline. I click on it again, and it brings up the 4 clips, and straight away we can see the ducks are 9 seconds, the chicks are 21 seconds, the hairy molly is 40 seconds, and the newt is 19 seconds. So literally what you need to do, say I wanted to go, right, I want the hairy molly to be at the start, I want hairy molly at the start, I want the little newt second. So literally these are the Lego blocks that I keep telling you about, right? Now this is if you're doing that kind of film, so you just move things around, right? So what you do then is you basically, you figure out the order you want your clips in, you go back here then, and that's your timeline. Now on some phones, some Androids and some Apples, it gives you the option to get your 2 fingers and you can actually just squeeze the clip in like that, and you can actually get a bigger overview of the timeline. So then you can see the newt, you can see the chicks, you can see and the ducks at the end, right? So basically get your fingers and squeeze them in and out, right? So squeeze them in and out. That gives you an overview. That can be handy sometimes when you have the clips are really long clips, loads of clips. That can be a really handy function for that. So that's your timeline. So there you click there and you got your order, and click back there again, you've got your view. Now I'm going to go through every single button with you, but basically the kind of the thing that most people use, and what I would use myself, I'd use a split button and delete button. Split and delete. And they're here, they're called split and delete. Now some Androids is slightly different. Now I know if the new versions of the app, it's the same as Apple, so they're all the same, right? I've noticed that on some of the latest downloads. So basically split and delete are the kind of ones that I would use, right? So say for example I want to make this film now with the hairy molly in this, right? I would zoom out and I would press play, and I would say to myself, okay, I want my clip to start just there. So I would put a split in it. And when I put the split in it, it puts a little split at the start, so I see that little clip that I don't want. I go bin that, right? Then I press play again, and I go, okay, this is going to go over to here. And just before it goes over the edge, I'm going to go stop and put a split there. Sorry, click split, and then that's basically the bit of rubbish. That's the clip that I don't want. The bit at the end is what I don't want. So I'm going to delete that, right? So now that's my clip that I want now. So it's the hairy molly going along straight to the edge, right? And I want it just to end just before I went over. So I split and deleted that. Now let's look at the little newt, right? Same jazz again, right? So basically we want to pick a little bit here, and I've done something deliberately here to show you. I've showed you a video that's been shot in portrait. So as you can see, it's got little bars on the sides, right? So that's what you don't want to do, right? So what I will do is I'll go back here and I go, right, I just want the little newt to be, so swimming here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, stop. And I'm going to put a split there, and that bit of stuff at the end, the 14 seconds at the end, I don't want that, so I'm going to delete that. So now it goes from like hairy molly into the newt swimming, and now we go to the chicks. So you can, again, it's a little bit finicky, so you get your fingers and you can get your fingers and you can zoom so you can get a better overview of the clip. So let's look at the chickens, right? So we go, right, I wanted to start there, so I'll put a split in it. And when you make that split, you always think to yourself, right, what's the bit that I don't want? And the bit you don't want is the bit at the start. So bin that. Then I press play again. And you want it to stop, just maybe go back to about there. And you put a split in it. And you go, right, that's the rubbish is at the end. Delete that. And now we're at ducks. And there's our kids here playing with ducks here. So you put a split in that, and you go, right, the bit of the rubbish is the bit I don't want. So straight away, what I've just done, I just call this topping and tailing. I literally call it topping and tailing, getting rid of a bit of rubbish at the start or a bit of rubbish at the end. Or a bit of brush, as we'd say here in Wexford. So you just clip, so you're watching what's happening now. So it's going to play, and it's going to go, watch the way it's playing, into the newt. Now into the chicks. And now into the ducks. And it just ends. Right? So you can go back in later on, edit that. You go, right, tell you what, there's a little bit too long, that bit with the chicks in it is a bit too long. So you just zoom back in again, and you can fine tune it again. So you go right to bit of the chicks. So you get a little line in the middle, just about there, put a split in it, and you go, right, I want this 1 second there, I want to get rid of it, delete that, right? So that's the way I would do video when I'm editing. It's a razor blade and Final Cut Pro that I use. You make little cuts in it, little cut, and then get rid of the rubbish then. Now there is another way of doing it as well. There's about 4 ways to do the same job I always find when you're video editing or stuff like that. So that's the one way of doing it, right? Another way of doing it as well, if you click on the clip itself, it pulls up these little ears, I call lugs as I call them, on either side, and literally you can grab them and just drag them in to make it shorter or longer. See that? So that's another way. Now I do find when you use that technique, you still have to go back in with your slice tool or your split tool and get a really fine, precise cut. So that's a handy one if you want to do a really quick edit, but I wouldn't recommend it for all your edits, right? Because it's just you need to go in and get that second right. So that's another way of doing it, right? So split, delete, and split, and then bin it, delete it then, and that's your clip. So I'm going to zoom back out, and there's our film made, right? Now, a few little things for you to point out here, right? If you look, watch where this clip plays, right? Watch the way it goes. Harry Molly, straight to mute, right? Now, if you see that little small black box there in between each clip with a little line through it, that's a thing called a transition. And a transition basically means that it will give you how one clip plays into another. So if I click on the little transition, it can be small on the phone, it throws up a transition option, right? And this is the free version, so some of these things you can't get, right? But the basic transition you can do is like a cross dissolve. So watch this, it'll dissolve into the next clip, right? So it'll dissolve. You can make that dissolve slower or faster, so it's a nice slow dissolve, okay? I would tend to use that now and again, right? Also, you would have a fade up or a fade down. You know, again, my fade ups or my fade downs I would use at the very end. And to be fair, there's other functions here you can do, like these kind of stuff, but you know what, I would never ever use these. They kind of look like a 1980s video, right? So a wedding video, so I kind of go really easy on the transitions. Again, go easy on all these effects. You don't necessarily need them, right? So I go basic, but if I click transition here, the fade up transition, I could click button here, watch what happens, and it literally puts the transition. See the way it's changed? So now it goes in, so it's there, and while the rest have got nothing on them. Or if I want to go back, I can just click back on that and click basic, which is none, and click yes. Or if I wanted to put a transition on all the clips, I just pick what transition I want and click the double yes button, and that put them on all of them. But come here, for me, I tend to not use them at all, to be honest with you, right? So there's our transitions if you need them, right? Maybe a fade out at the end you might use, right? Most people in your case, you won't be making a film here now for the Galway Film Play. You'll be making maybe a tutorial 15-20 minutes long. You know, I think that's what I would tend to work on, that kind of principle, right? And it's absolutely perfect. And I've said I've seen people learn how to use this program since March, and again their skills levels have went right up. So there's your timeline. Now the great thing as well is, say you said, God, I'd like to put another film in there. You go to your plus button, you go to your videos, and you add another video. And you do the same thing again, you top and tail it, figure out where you want to put it. So you can keep adding videos and photos as well to your timeline as you're going along, right? So that's the reason why I was telling you as well, maybe when you're shooting the little 10-second little Lego clips, it's just to maybe have, it makes your life easier when you go back, rather than you shooting a whole 3 minutes of one take of up and down movement with the camera, because you have to go in and splice all them up, right? But it's much easier if you're doing a straightforward tutorial, looking straight ahead of the camera, if it's only going to be that kind of video, right? So there's your film ready to go technically. You know, literally all you would need to do now is send that and save it, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the buttons that are really, really handy, some of the functions that this app will allow you to do. So you've seen me how I've topped and tailed, and you've seen how I order the clips around. Now, here is something as well. On the Apple version, it gives you a backspace button. So basically, if you make a mistake, you just go back, right? And it'll undo that, right? If you find if you say, for example, a Harry Molly clip, you just click on it and drag the sides back left and right, right? That's all you need to do if you want to, say, bring it back to its original one again, and maybe make it a bit longer. So you can go back in. Your video file won't disappear. It will stay in your camera folder on your phone, and then this app talks that or communicates with that. That tells that knows where that video file is. A little piece of advice for you: if you're shooting something and you're editing there today, right? And next minute you're editing away, and next minute you delete your original master file, saved your 15-minute tutorial, you delete the original from your phone, and then you go back the next day to try to edit up this app. it won't be there, because it needs to be in the same place as where it's always been. So it needs to be in the same place, right? So because that's what it needs to do. That's the same in all the big editing apps as well. The exact same. You need to keep everything in the same place, so then the application can communicate with that and know the directory where that is, right? So just bear that in mind, right? Now, one of the things, because we're living in an age with mobile phones and technology, and things have changed. Everyone's not just shooting in landscape, but by and large, if I'm shooting in a film, I'm shooting 16:9 landscape, the way I told you before, like your television frame. So 16:9, right? Now and again, you can go 9:16. So if I press 9:16, say now and again I might do a Facebook video where I might make a video, I might put titles up on top and maybe subtitles on the bottom. That can work, right? I don't, again, it's only now and again I'll do that, right? Most of the time I'm just shooting, I'm editing like this, okay? But say some people do want to make something for Instagram, the formats, what's really powerful here is the formats are already there for you. And on the big video editing apps, that actually can be quite hard. Sometimes it's actually hard to go in, and you have to set up all the sizes. Here it's already done for you. So you can go Instagram, whatever, and set it up. Now if you do watch what's happening here, if you make it 4 or 5, see the way the white lines on the top and the bottom. So while it's 16:9, there's none of that crack, right? And if you're making your video for a school, for 16:9, stick with 16:9. Don't go doing that unless you're making it for Instagram, because what happens then is you get these white bars up in the top and the bottom, and it's taking up your image and it's reducing the resolution of your image as well. So don't do that, right? So there's my 16:9. There's my 16:9 standard format, or 9:16 if I'm going to do Facebook or Instagram, but 16:9 by and large, right? Now, here's the next thing is, if this app allows you to, which is really powerful. Say for example you were shooting something and you wanted to get a bit out of it, you can literally just get your fingers and zoom in and out. You can actually crop the image, right? So you can use your fingers to zoom in and out, or you can click on the zoom button. Now they're slightly different on an Apple and an Android, but you can just use the zoom button to zoom in and out like that. Say you want to crop an image, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. Remember my little newt here, and he was deliberately filmed in the wrong way. So what I'm going to do now is, say if I had him filmed there, I would just zoom like that. See what I'm zooming? And then therefore then he's filling the screen. Now I would not recommend this, right, to be fair, because what happens is, get into the habit of shooting everything in the same format. But if you have to do this, do it. You'll have to zoom the image out, and there is always what will happen is you will lose image resolution. You lose a slight bit of quality, right? So there's me showing you what not to do, right? And because I see so many people sending me stuff and they send it in different formats, and that's what I have to do. I have to go in and make them all the same, and you do drop quality, right? So as you can see now, the newt actually fills the screen, but there's a slight drop in quality now. Okay, some of you mightn't see it, but I'd see it, I'd spot that, right? But that's a really, really handy function. So I'll go back to the chicks again, I'll go to canvas again, and basically what is lovely about it is you can zoom in. If you wanted to crop it a tiny bit, you can. You don't, by and large, I don't do this, right? One of the handy things that I liked about this app was the fact that you can put a background. Now again, this really depends. It's back to the editing and gloss and all this kind of stuff, right? But if I click background there, and I pick a gradient background, like this gradient color here, right? Now you could, if you wanted to, go back to zoom and then do this. See that? You could put a little border around it. Now some people get fierce impressed with this, and I'm literally holding my finger on this now and dragging the image around. That's actually really powerful to be able to do that. Now you can, during the summer we were working on a project called Songs for Our Children. Actually Clare County Council supported it before, and was where we would have a singer recording himself singing a song or her song, and it was filmed on their mobile phone, but we wanted to put the words up for children to learn, and we would use the bottom part of that then for our subtitles. So you'd have the singer up at the top left hand corner, and then you would have the subtitles on the bottom. But by and large I don't use it. But if you did want to use it, that option is there to add something. Just be careful with going with gloss. Some people are fierce and impressed with a little bit of graphic designy stuff, and I find sometimes it can date very quickly. So just bear that in mind, right? And that's just background. So if I wanted to go in there and pick whatever background color I wanted, I just press a button and do it, right? I tend not to do it, but you can if you want it, right? So that's that done, right? So that's your canvas. So that's your canvas for setting your format. And again, as I said to you, if I go to ratio, mine is 16:9 mostly, always the case, right? Now, a few other handy functions for you is the option of adding music. Now you're going to have to play with these yourselves, folks, because there's only so much I can show you, right? So if we go to music, it allows you to add in tracks. So it adds in tracks from your iTunes. So you can go to iTunes and find a tune on your iTunes, right? you click on that, and that'll drag it in. Or if you go down here, they actually have their own royalty-free tracks as well. So you can click on there. These people actually will allow you to use their music. Sometimes they ask for a subscription, and you can click on those as well. Or they have sound effects. But I'm going to go to whatever's on my iTunes here, and I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click use, right? And literally what that does is that drops in that track now. Watch this. And that drops in that track. Now, what I say, right, sometimes you might drop in a bit of music at the end of a clip. That's what I tend to do with my folklore stuff. A little bit of a sound piece. I've used Tommy Hayes, actually, not a clear man. So what I would do is, if you want to edit your sound, you can edit your sound the exact same way as you can edit your video. So you literally click on your clip, you click split, and it puts a split just there, and then you click the bin, delete it, and there's your video, your audio clip now. And then it goes into the next thing. Now you're going to have to fine tune all this yourselves, right? But I'm just showing you the possibility. And you literally can grab that clip and drag it and move it around wherever way you want it, right? So you can move that audio track around to have it at the start, at the end. Then you can actually go in and you can go in, and if you want to, and you can line up your, you can get it really precise by dragging it a little bit longer like that, right? Also the great thing as well with the sound effects is you can actually add in another layer of sound on top of that. So you can go in there and add in another layer of sound there for the newt, another layer of sound for the ducks or the chickens, whatever you want. That's up to you how you're going to play with this now, right? But don't leave yourself with overcomplicated, because you're going to, it's just going to be hard because you're working in a small little space here, right, on your phone. So that's the tracks thing where you can do, right? The effects button basically allows you to do, if you wanted to put in a transition, if you want to go, like a transition would be a fade down. So say for example, I'm going to go to a fade down here. Oh, that's the transition. Oh, hang on. If I go to effects, there should be a transition effects there. There should be a kind of a fade down. It's not showing up now. There it is. No, it's not showing up for some reason. There's usually a little effects button here that will let you to say you've got a music track and it's playing along, and you make a cut in it, but you don't want the music just to stop suddenly. So you get this transition, you add it to the end of that, and it will just slowly fade it down. But again, all I can say to you is be really just be careful not to overload it with too many little effects, because it can be a little bit hard to manage when the screen and all is so small. So that they're the effects functions, which is not showing up for me there right now, right? But that's normally it's a little effect that just adds to the end of that clip, right? Sometimes these things can get a little glitch or a gremlin in them, right? One of the things which I find really, really handy in this is you can add tracks, the effects, whatever, the effects for editing a track. But the real function that I find handiest here is your record function. Now, if I press that record button right now, it will do a countdown, and it will use my voice and the microphone on the bottom of my phone to record the audio. So I can actually narrate that little timeline, narrate that story of the newt. It's a really handy function if you want to, say you want to line up maybe a series of photographs, 10, 20 photographs, and literally just narrate the story of the photographs. This is the Mary Murphy, who's a neighbour of mine who lived down the road from us. This is another neighbour. So you can use this in multiple ways for talking about your own work, whether you're a painter or a printmaker, or whether you're interested in local history. So I'm going to show you as an example, and hopefully this will work for me now again. So I press record, it's counting down. And here we are watching a little film, and there's a newt swimming, and it's going to move to the next clip of young chicks in a basin in Graston, County Wexford. And here are my little girls here training their ducks how to jump. And I'm going to press stop. And now I'm going to press the plus button, or the tick button, and you can see now, watch this. And here we are watching a little film, and there's a newt swimming, and it's going to move to the next clip of young chicks in a basin in Graston, County Wexford. And here are my little girls here training their ducks how to jump. And the film ends. So basically you can add your own narration on your own little clip. Really, really powerful. The microphone on these phones are fantastic. So that's another great thing as well. The microphones are really, really good. And there, I've known people who worked in radio shows and they've used these microphones. So again, lovely handy tool. And you can just move it along if you want to, or you can go in there and edit a bit out and start doing it again. So lovely handy function. Click yes. Now, as I said to you, this film is not going to win anything at the Galway Film Fleadh, but it's just showing you the technique and what you can use. So again, you'll find different ways to use that voice thing, right? Now, so that's music covered. I'm going to go along the little things for you. Next is the stickers. Actually, no, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to text for you, right? I'm going to go to text. I'm going to go back to my film at the start. I'm going to go back to the Hairy Molly. I'm going to go text. Now text is basically, you can add a bit of text, a title at the start, titles, credits at the end. That's all I would ever use this for, really, right? So if I go to text, it gives me an option. I'm going to call it test film, right? And it's going to crop up here. It gives me options when I click on the little A. It gives me what font I would like to use. Lovely simple fonts here, folks, right? Really nice little simple fonts. It drops it into the middle. You can drag it in to make it bigger or smaller. You can go in and you can move it up around literally with your finger. That's what I really like about it, right? So you test film, you can go in there. I'm going to pick a really bright color now for that, right? And you click yeah, and click yes on that. So there is your film, there's your title now. So watch this. Now that is not very clear for me to edit, right? So I'm going to go back there again and I'm going to edit that, and I'm going to go right, I'm going to make that font a bit bigger, and I'm going to go with that one there and just move it there like that, right? And click yes. So you can go back in and edit and fix up any stuff that you've been working on before. So that's the test button on, that's the text button on this app. So it's really, really handy. And you can go in there and you can add another layer of text. So you can go back in again, you go, you click yes there, you can go back in another layer. So it'll add in, sorry, if you go back in, you can go text, and it will add in another layer of text again. You can add another layer of text, and then you can put that underneath it. So it's a really, really handy function. So I'd normally put a bit of title at the start and a credit at the end and click yes. And that's all I would use that text button for. So it's again very handy. You're going to have to go in and play with it yourselves. Go in and play with it and figure out what kind of font you use and how you're going to use that. And again, likewise, you can drag it to make it longer or shorter and have it running through the whole film. This is one thing I find very handy sometimes. If you wanted like a logo running through your film, you can just click on the text box and you just make it smaller. Like I would use folklore.ie in mine, and I would have it down in the bottom corner running. So you'd have folklore.ie running through your whole film if you wanted it, and that's another really, really handy function as well. And that actually works really well for subtitles. So say if you wanted to have your subtitle there in the middle, you would literally go along and you would go, okay, here is a film, you'd have someone's voice in it, but a Hairy Molly, talking about a Hairy Molly, put a split in it, then you go to the next sentence, split, next sentence, split, next sentence, split. So then therefore you go into each individual one, and then basically you type up to whatever the text is that's said in the subtitle. So you can add subtitles with it as well. You can use it, but it's finicky, but you can do it. But that's what's really quite nice about the app. The next button that I want to show you is the button called stickers. Now, it's a whole, you can see the age bracket this kind of app is aimed at. It's probably aimed at like a teenage, early 20s app. So it's got all these stickers and things like that. Now, I can't see many using them, but I've seen some people in music generation using little things that they might use, you know, in as part of their tutorials. So you're going to have to go have a play yourselves with all these. But sometimes little things can be handy all the same. If you are looking for like YouTube or follow buttons or icons, they're there. So literally if you wanted to go to a like button there, for example, you click on that and literally drop it in. So it's actually very handy if you wanted to use it. My own children here use it when they're playing on this. So you got a like button maybe at the end of your film if you wanted it. Now this depends on how you're going to use it, right? So you can just literally move that over towards the end here like that. So you basically comes like that, have that kind of little icon on top. So that's a handy little function as well if you want to use it. I'm going to delete it there because I'm not going to use it. Again, as I was saying to you earlier on, you might actually want to put a logo. So literally if you wanted to put a logo there, you would go to your stickers and you would go to your photos and you choose from your camera roll. So you may have like a logo like folklore.ie in my case. You'd have that on your camera roll and you'd literally just have it just on your camera roll here, and I just a random photograph here I'm going to throw in, and I'm just going to drop it in here like that. That would be my logo, and I would throw it up in the top corner like that. I click yes. Sorry, I'll go back to the stickers again. I'll click yes and I'll drag it. So that is dragged throughout the whole film. You with me? So therefore you got your logo in it. So your local authority logo, your own logo, wherever you want it. And you're going to have to fine tune that. But you might use that, right? So then you just literally make your logo up and send it over. So you got your thing there. So your subtitles. Now, as I said, this is rough, folks, but I'm just showing you the use of it, right? And the great thing about it, you click yes. You can go back in, you click sticker. And what happens is if you click sticker, it goes back to the sticker that you dropped in, so you can go back in and re-edit that then again, or you can go back to your text and you can re-edit that again. So you can go back in. This thing won't explode in your hands. So that's the great thing about it. You're going to have to pick it up and play with it and set yourself a deadline and set yourself a project to do and do it. and that's the way you will learn, I can guarantee you, right? So there's your stickers, there's your text. Now there's other stuff there as well we won't get a chance to cover because we'll be here for 3 hours, right? Now, by and large, that's really all I would ever really use this app for. So one of the things, but I will go through the other functions with you. That's really what I would use it for. Titles at the start, title at the end, the credit, maybe the logo running through, and maybe subtitles if you need it, or maybe sometimes if people are working with music, they might want to drop into chords or something like that. So you might have that option there if you want to drop in something on the screen to help someone along, or maybe type up something, or maybe even drop in a piece of poetry or a word. Really depends on how you're going to use it, right? So that's the kind of basic function of the basic editing, right? Now I'm going to go to the other buttons with you. So we went through canvas, music, sticker, text. Now we're going to filter. Now filter allows you, if you go to say the Harry Molly clip here, we can adjust the colors of that, whatever, if we wanted to. I don't ever add filters to my stuff. I'd never do that, right? Sorry, effects. Effects. So you can put different effects on your videos to age them and things. I can't see the use of it really, to be fair. Filters, again, I don't put filters on stuff, right? One thing I do is all the same. If I click on a clip, I would just click the adjust button. Now the adjust button allows you to maybe up the brightness of something. So say for example there, that clip there, see the way it's affecting the lightness of it? So that can be handy sometimes. If a clip is too dark, you can give it a little tweak and make it brighter, or also affect the contrast, so you can go play with the contrast. Now I would use those, maybe lightness and contrast. I know, because every clip is slightly different, and you definitely can't apply to all clips, because all the clips will be different. So you'll have to do one at a time, and I do find that makes a big difference, just to be able to go in and just to tweak it a little bit, tweak the lightness a little bit, right? So that's your filter button. Precut is on it. Precut is another version of splitting. It's another way to do it. It's so basically it's. I don't use it because the split function does the same thing. But if you wanted it, you could literally drag the clips like that yourselves, manually drag the ends in, click that, and that tops and tails them. Or you can cut them. You can basically go in and move them little things left and right. That'll cut them. Or you can do a manual split. So basically, you can move it along there. Click the yes button, and that'll put the split on it. But the split function is already on the main timeline, so there's no need for it. I don't use it at all, right? So I'm going to get out there, right? I was actually after splitting it, so I'm going to undo. This is the undo button. See the way the undo button works? So the undo button is a great function, right? So Precut, I don't really use it, right? Split is what I do use. Remember I said to you before, you move it along, you make your split, you delete the bit you don't want, that's it. Now, handy function is volume. Now, if you go to the volume button, it basically, I select the clip. Now it says to me that it's at 100%. If I want to up the sound of the volume of the Harry Molly clip, I can bring it up. Or if I want to bring up the sound of the ducks, I can drop it down. So that's a really, really handy function, right? So that's a lovely handy function, right? Also another lovely handy function is, say you wanted the sounds of, you might need to extract the audio, say from one clip and put it on another. You can actually click on the ducks, for example, and click extract audio. So watch this. So what it's done is it's taken the noise of the ducks out, and literally I can move the noise of the ducks over now for the crack if you wanted to over where the mute is. Now, so watch this. I'm going to show you get to hear. I'll move the other clip out of the way so you get a chance to hear it. So now. So it's just moved it. It's just moved the ducks out, the duck audio. It's taking the duck audio out. Now that can have a really handy use, because say you're got a 15-minute tutorial and you want to extract the audio, say you want to layer another piece of video over it. One of the limitations I find is you can't layer 2 layers of video over it. I need a professional edit programs let you maybe have, say, me talking, and then I will drop in another layer of video of me outside doing something, and you'll hear my voice. It's still talking, but the video is different. Now it doesn't allow you to layer 2 videos, so you can do things like the extract audio may be handy. You're doing a tutorial, you're going along, and literally you make a split for a minute. So you basically extract the audio, take the video out, but then replace it with another video exactly a minute long. So therefore then you go, so there's ways around it. Again, you're going to have to figure out that yourselves, and depends on what you're shooting. But that extract audio function is handy for that, right? So that's the extract audio function, and also really handy as well. Say you're doing a workshop and you're filming something, you can pull down the audio of all your little clips, and then have a background track running on, above that, or a narration running above it, so you can have the bare background sound of people doing something in the background, right? That's your audio volume under your, when you go to volume, you can individually go and bring up and down the volume of each clip. So that's a really, really handy function, right, as well. Now, next function, speed. I don't know how you can use speed. I suppose if you wanted to make kind of a speed up, obviously, speed up a clip, you know, you might set up something in the back of a hall somewhere and you wanted to maybe making something and you want to basically speed up that process of your hands making a coil pot. So you might want to film it for 5 minutes and then make it really much faster. So you literally move things along to make it faster or slower. It'll tell you how fast or slower it'll be, and you click yes. So that'll make that clip much. And here we are watching it. It'll affect the speed of it, right? Sometimes I find as well, if you have a 10-minute video and you want to make it faster, the program is preset to a certain speed, so you only get it down to 5 minutes. So sometimes you have to export it and re-import it again, then bring it down. It'll keep bringing it down a bit. So that's up to you to play with, right? But that's a speed function. That can be handy sometimes, right? The duplicate function is handy sometimes as well. Say we got to clip the next function over, next button over. We've got the ducks here. Now I can just click that button now, right? Duplicate. And it makes a copy of that. Now if I click on the timeline, it's just 2 7-second duck clips, so I can move one now to the start if I wanted to. So that would save you having to go back into your camera roll and pulling it out back in and find it and topping it and tail it. So that can be handy too sometimes, right? So that's another little handy function as well. Again, depends on how you're going to use it. Crop function is basically, it's a crop if you want to crop, say you have a video that is slightly just sort of you see a finger in it, or you want to make it a bit zoom in a bit more. I touched on that earlier on. So you can crop a video. Also allows you to skew a video. Say there's a video turned slightly. Say you set up your camera and it wasn't right. You can just go in there and skew it and line it up again and have that lined up again. And it's a matter of you going in and playing with these. It'll all depend on what scenario you might have a use for this. This depends, right? So I'm going to go back over here to that functions. Duplicate, crop, rotate. Now here's a really handy function. This wouldn't happen with a big video camera, but it happens with this. Is that sometimes you need to rotate a video, because a video you might film it upside down. So literally you just press rotate and rotate and it gets it right back in the right direction. Another handy function is flip. Now if you're going to be, say you're going to be doing self-record of you and you're going to be looking at your front camera, sometimes your face is turned the opposite way. So you click flip and that reverses it around. So that's a handy function as well, a really handy little function. Then there's freeze, where you could be doing a tutorial and you could just be doing something with your hands, you click freeze and you freeze that moment, and you can make it like 3 seconds long, 4 seconds long, and then you can go back in with your voice and narrate over it. Now what you're looking at here now is my hands here, and up in the top left hand corner is blah blah blah. That's another little handy function, that freeze thing. Again, you might use it, again depends on what you're using it for. Reverse is basically, oh god, it's going to process this, so it's basically reversing a clip, right? Making things bringing it backwards. We don't need that. I'm going to want to do that, right? And then settings are basically just the settings 1080. Remember, as I've shown you before, 30 frames per second, and that's all. Basically, folks, that is your video edit. All the buttons there that you need. You're going to have to go in and play and figure out what you're going to use it for. I would use it for the most basic stuff, to be perfectly honest with you. And what I'm going to do now in a second is I'm going to show you what you do when you've made your film, where you're going to send it and where you're going to save it to. And now we're at the stage where we've made our film and we want to save our film. We want to get it off our phone and get it up to send to the school or send to email or put it up on YouTube, wherever we want to send it. So basically what we do is we're happy with our film and we can click our back. It's the backspace button, the top left hand corner, and brings us back. Now this is what happens when you're working on your first draft. It says to you, do you want to draft or discard this? I don't like the term draft and discard, but draft is the one you want to press. So it's draft, which is really the save button, and you go back. And literally you can go back to your phone, then your interface. So if I want to go back there now, I will go back to Inshot, into video. I will find the film that I was working on, the one, and I can go back there now and edit away to add more clips or add more sounds, whatever, right? But say I'm happy enough, that's my end film, I'm delighted with that, delighted with my end film right now. What I want to do now is I want to save it. I want to export it off my phone. Now, a little piece of advice for you, I find, is that this app, like if I was working on my computer, for example, I would be able to back up my working document and save it on a hard drive. In case anything happened to my computer, I would have it. I can't see that option on the free version of this app, basically, that you won't be able to back up. So basically you could be working on something for a week and then your phone disappears, so does all that work goes with it, unless you probably have the professional version which you pay for. So I would recommend, if you're working on the paid version, the free version, is to work on your film, get it shot and edited and get it off your phone as quick as you can within a couple of days or a week or two at least, just so you have it done. And I'm always of that mind as well, get the thing finished and get it backed up, so get your file backed up into the place where you want it backed up. So basically you have your film here and you want to get it off, right? So literally what you would do is you would press this button. It's save, I think, on an Android, but it's an upload button on an Apple. Now this is what happens, just to give you a heads up here. With the free version, it throws up ads, so you just want to be careful what ads that it will throw up, right? So I would recommend that you pay the €4 and get rid of those ads. But I'm showing you what's done for if you're going to be working at home, or you're all over 18 and you're working at home. So it throws up ads. So it's asking me, what do you want to do? It's going to be telling me the resolution is 1080, the frame rate is 30 frames per second. It's estimated to be 53.4 megabytes in size. I'm going to click save. And it's what it's doing now. It's rendering, or it's making the film, all them clips into one film. Now here's what you need to do. You want to make sure, if you're working on a half-an-hour film, that basically you've got enough memory space to save it. And also if you're working on a half-an-hour export film, that you're going to have now. So sometimes it throws up an ad right here. It didn't in this case, which is good, right? So basically what it's done now is it's basically saved that. So it's saved that. I'm going to get out of that screen and I'm going to go back to my photos folder, my album, my photos folder on my phone. I'm going to click on my camera here, and on my desktop you will see, on my thing you will see the little film. See the test film? There's it there, right? I took the music off it so you can see it, right? Just to give you an idea. Now that is rough out, but that's not just, it's just a demonstration to show you. So go back to Inshot again and open up that same screen. So it saves it to your camera roll. That's where it saves it. It also gives you options as well straight away if you want to upload it to Instagram, or if you want to upload it to YouTube, or up to Facebook, or to Messenger or WhatsApp, right? But they're the kind of social media ones. The great thing is on your camera roll, I would get that off my camera roll straight away. I'm a great believer in getting that onto another backup service. So I would get that and I would email it to myself, or I would we transfer it to myself, or with an Apple we have AirDrop, so I can AirDrop to another laptop and throw it onto a hard drive then straight away. But you can, so I'd recommend you do that anytime. If you've made your film, get it backed up to another device ASAP. Just a little piece of advice for you as well, and I'll end this with now, is that if you're sending videos through WhatsApp or Messenger, it compresses quality, right? So don't expect you send this as the really good version, the final version, to WhatsApp, and what happens is the person who will get it then will open it up and the screen resolution will be size will be smaller. So you need to use like something like WeTransfer. So basically you get the original high-res quality off your phone, and it is as it is. Messenger does the same as well. Just give you a heads up, Messenger compresses as well, likewise it does for photos. So that's the app. I'm going to go back here then. That's the app Inshot. So there it is again. Your film is there. That's it. We've went up here to the top right hand corner and we've saved it and we've exported it, and now we have it, and then you can send it on to wherever you want to, and that's the app. So it's a great app. Again, all I can say to you is you need to sit down yourselves, folks, and you need to play with it, and you need to figure out how you're going to use it in your own practice. So listen, thanks a million for sticking with me, and I'm going to do another tutorial now for you in the use of time lapse and stop motion. Again, it's another little handy tool that you can use on your phone using an app called Stop Motion. So again, if you've missed the other tutorials, there's another tutorial on how to use your mobile phone. This is part 2. There's 3 films altogether. So part 1 was how to use your mobile phone, optimize using your mobile phone. This is how to edit, and the next one, the final one, then we'll be looking at just using stop motion animation and time lapse, and handy little things that you can be used in your practice. So listen, thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you again.